Alright, we're doing dividing radicals. This is Algebra 2 Semester 2, Unit 2, 214, I believe is the quiz, second quiz of the unit. Just a quick little review. If I had the square root of 12, how do I simplify the square root of 12? Well, I get all the factors. In this case, it's 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. And then I identify the biggest perfect square. In this case, it's 4. So I have square root of 3 times the square root of 4. The square root of 4 is 2. So it's 2 radical 3. And then do the same thing with square root of 50. I get all my factor pairs of 50. I identify my biggest perfect square. In this case, it's going to be 25. So I do square root of 25 times the square root of 2. The square root of 25 is 5, so it's 5 times radical 2. Done. Same thing with 45. Square root of 45, I get my factor pairs. I identify my biggest perfect square if there is one. In this case, it's 9. Square root of 9 is 3. So square root of 9 times the square root of 5. So it's going to be 3 times square root of 5, and I'm done. So jumping into the division piece. So we have square root of 30 divided by the square root of 6. Well, just like anything else, I have 30 divided by 6. I'm going to go ahead and do this. 5. 30 divided by 6 is 5. I never got rid of my square root, so I got to keep my square root. And the square root of 5 isn't an integer, so I'm just going to leave it there. But all I did was just divide 30 and 6. I have 12 and 3. I'm going to divide 12 and 3 as 4. And put the square root over top because I haven't gotten rid of it. Now the square root of 4 is 2. So there we go. I can be done now. Now I got rid of the square root because I operated upon the square root. I used the square root. But if I don't use it like over here with the 5, I leave the square root. So you only get rid of the square root if you actually use it. Radical 50 divided by radical 2. Well, 50 divided by 2 is 25. I haven't taken the square root, so I put it back over top. The square root of 25 is 5. I don't put the square root because I already used it. On the next one, I have the square root of 11 divided by 4. Now, this is all together. Dividing 11 4 is going to give me a decimal. I don't want a decimal, so I'm not going to do that. What I can do, though, is I can come over here and I can make this the square root of 11 divided by the square root of 4. So separate the 1 radical into 2. Just top and bottom. The square root of 11 is some decimal, so we're not going to use it. And then the square root of 4 is 2. And I will leave it like that, simplified. I apologize for the little z looking 2 there, but now we have square root of 49, the square root of 81, or we have the square root of 49 divided by 81. So what I'll do, what I see in my head before anything else, I just have the square root of 49 divided by the square root of 81. Well, the square root of 49 is 7. The square root of 81 is 9. Done. Simplified. So I kind of separate them, then I just take the square root if they're a perfect square. Or if I go back to the original ones, if I could just divide, I'd just divide. Whatever's easiest. Now for this next one, I'm going to combine two things. I have division and I have multiplication. So I'm actually going to go ahead and multiply these. So we have 3 times 5 is 15. 8 times 6 is going to be what, 48? And then I'm going to take the square root and put it over both of them. Now, I can't divide 15 and 48, and 15 and 48 aren't perfect squares. So what I have to look for are opportunities to cancel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, that's how I would do it, is I have 1 and 15 and 3 and 5. Those are my factors of 15. And then I would find my factors of 48. 1 and 48. Uh, 4 and 12. 6 and 8. Cool. So I'm going through here and I'm looking, do I have any factors that overlap? Well, I have a 3. I also have a 1, but this 1 doesn't really count. I mean, it counts, but we can't use it for anything, so we kind of ignore it. But we have 3 in both of them. So what I'll do is I'll take this 15 and make it 3 times 5 on the top. Now on the bottom, I'm going to make this 3 times 16. And the square root's still there. Haven't gotten rid of it. Well, these 3's cancel. So I'm going to have 5 over 16. Alright, cool. Now I'm going to simplify this because I can't divide 5 and 16. Well, the square root of 5 is just some decimal, so we're going to leave it as square root of 5. But the square root of 16 is 4. And I'm done. So this one had a couple extra steps. I multiplied, but my goal is I want to get everything as 1 first. Once I get everything together as 1, I can then kind of work around, manipulate, and find ways to simplify it. But I want to kind of get them all together first. There are other strategies that you could see it right now that, hey, there's a 3 on top and there's a 6 on the bottom. I could separate the 6 to be a 3 and a 2 and cancel it that way. I mean, those options are there. If you see them, great. If you can take advantage of those right away, absolutely do that. But this is a simple, get them all together, kind of go step by step. Sometimes it might be longer, sometimes it might be shorter, depending on the problem.